Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Talkback from the Storefront Theater. I'm Judy. You all know me. Uh, every show at the Storefront Theater, I always have a curtain speech and also have a talkback. That's why the show is called Talkback. And one of the actors likes to tease me about my long-windedness on these occasions, and that actor is my wonderful guest today, James K. Flynn. Hi, James K.
Moi? Accuse you of being long? No! Heaven forfend.
Well, you notice it hasn't slowed me down very much.
No.
Still
I would expect nothing less.
All right, I have a very personal, private question to ask, and it may be a deep, dark secret that isn't allowed to be shared, but I will ask anyway. What's the K for?
Kirtland.
Kirkland.
K-I-R-T.
I knew that. I think I knew that. Did you say that that's a family name or?
Yeah, it's my father's name, my grandfather's name, my middle name. Supposedly, when my grandfather was born, his mother, Julia Poole Gregory Flynn, liked the name Kirtland for the Kirtland warbler, the bird.
Oh.
And that's where it came from. There's also a town in Ohio called Kirtland. And it filters down until it finally ended up with me.
I think I am correct in saying that you are a Charlotte native. Is that correct?
Born and raised, yes.
And your family before you, your ancestors, are they all Charlotte, born and raised?
Oh no, I'm the only Southerner in the family. Everybody else is up New Jersey way.
Oh, well.
And matter of fact, my mom was born in Missouri, and her dad was with a company that transferred him quite often. So she was in Pittsburgh and New Orleans and 2 or 3 other different cities over the course of her lifetime. And when she met Dad, they were up in East Orange, New Jersey, after the war.
Yes, my father was in New Jersey for a while during the war, and my mother was there too. I can't remember the name of the town. Oh well. Your background is quite diverse. You have done and do quite a few things, but I'm going to meddle in your personal life first. Tell us about your family. I know you have a wife named Donna.
Yes.
And 2 sons?
3 sons.
3 sons.
Fred McMurray should be proud.
Absolutely. Your 3 sons. Do you have a great big old fuzzy dog too?
No, we have 2 fuzzy cats.
That works. Those are good. So I remember that with your sons, you've been very involved with Scouts, with Boy Scouting.
Still am, as a matter of fact.
And did you do that as a boy yourself?
Yes, I did. Was somewhat hindered by the fact that I couldn't swim, which is kind of a drawback for Boy Scouts.
Mm.
So I never reached the pinnacle of Eagle, but got to the rank of Star till I aged out and enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. My father was a Boy Scout when he was a youngster back in the 30s. So, and then when my second son was looking for something to do, back when he was, probably 9 or 10, he tried Cub Scouts. And the person that was the leader of his particular Cub Scout den was leaving. They were asking for volunteers to take over the den. And the one person that volunteered was somebody that both me and another father didn't want leading the den. So we said, we'll do it. And that was 22 years ago, and I've been an adult leader in scouting since.
Oh, wow. We had scouts in our rural Union County neighborhood when I was growing up. My brother was a Boy Scout, and he raised his boys, 3 of them, as scouts too. But they had no Girl Scouts. I never had that opportunity. But I have had opportunity to do other things that you do, which is get on stage.
Yes.
So let's talk about that just a little bit. I know that you are a voiceover, a voice artist, so to speak. You do commercials and film voiceovers and all that sort of thing. Were you an actor first and then did the voiceovers, or did they come parallel together? How'd you get started in all this?
The acting was kind of was a bookend, basically. Just from a standpoint, I was introduced to theater in utero. My mother, Lucy Jane, was a member of the Carolina Repertory Theater in Chapel Hill when she was in college. My father did shows at Colgate University. Even though he went on to become a world-renowned accountant, he did theater in college as well. I was also a humor writer with the Colgate Hasty Pudding Club, or their version of it. Matter of fact, when he was a sophomore, he wrote sketches with a guy named Andy Rooney at Colgate.
Rings a bell.
So some of my earliest memories were of Mom doing theater when we lived in Pasadena, Texas. She did shows regularly. She directed shows. When they moved to Charlotte, the three of us kids, me and my 2 sisters, would do mini plays in the living room. We'd rehearse them and then perform them for the folks. First show I ever did, I was in the 8th grade. My oldest sister, Patty, was taking a 1-act to contest for her high school. They were doing the lottery, and they needed village folk, townspeople for the scene. So they said, you're a kid, come be on stage. All you have to do is go pick up rocks, which was blocking I could follow at the time. And so that's when I first really got on stage. But I did shows through high school and college, done community theater, done professional theater. It's always been a part of my life. Did that nail things down for you, or is need anything more specific?
No, that's pretty good nailing there.
We were going to talk about the voice work. When I got into college, I was originally, this may be news to you, I was in line to be a Presbyterian minister.
Oh.
I was going to be a minister of music. I was going to major in music, become a choir director, something along those lines. And was up for marching band camp up at Appalachian State University. And was putting my tray up at the cafeteria one day, and there was a little sign taped to the wall over the conveyor belt that took the trays back to the washing room. And it said organizational meeting, WASU FM, and gave the room in Chapel Wilson Hall. So I was like, oh, why not? And it turned out the guy that was the section leader for the baritone horns in the marching band was also part of the radio station. So it was a familiar face, and that always helped when you were a freshman. And I discovered radio and loved it. And it was acting, it was music, it was personality without them having to see your face. And it became a career and lasted 22 years with acting on the side. So that's how it was. Acting bookended my other career.
I see. Well, as you're an actor, you're a musical, and I've done musicals, you sing.
Yes.
If you had gone the other way and had become that Presbyterian choir director, we might have known each other that way.
Possibly.
I'm not doing that anymore either. So you act, you sing, you I assume you dance, you write. If you, and you're a voiceover artist, so if you could make a nice living doing only one of those things, which one would you choose?
I wouldn't. I'd have to do them. This another little story to make a long story monotonous, as they say. My senior year at Appalachian, spent the summer up there, which is wonderful, spending the summer in the mountains and getting credit for it. But they also had a symposium of different speech, not therapists, speech experts in the world of speaking and nonverbal communication. And one of my jobs was, since I was from Charlotte, was to shuttle these folks back and forth between Boone and the Charlotte airport. And I was driving this one gentleman back to Charlotte. The chairman of the department was in the car with us, Charles Porterfield. And they were talking about important speech things. And I was just this college kid driving them. And I guess in order to make me feel like I was part of the conversation, the gentleman asked me what I was majoring in. And I said, speech with an emphasis in broadcasting. And he said, broadcasting, you mean radio? I said, yes, radio. He says, why are you doing that? And I said, well, it's fun. He said, huh, well, I guess that's one way to look at it. I don't think that's very important. I thought to myself, no, you jerk, it's a requirement. If you can't have fun what you're doing, then what's the point in doing it? And if I had to, voice work, theater, music, writing, they're all fun. They're all work, but they're all fun. So I could probably pick any one of them and just do that, but I'd rather not give up any of them.
You came to the Storefront Theater for a number of different shows, but one special one in particular that we all recall is Blessed Assurance, which is a solo performance, and it's quite a challenge. Talk a little bit about the challenges of being alone on stage.
There's no real way to get help. If you're in a show with other actors on stage and something goes south, if you can't think of an ad lib or some way to work around it, then somebody else on stage is going to be able to help you with it. Whether it's a missing prop, whether it's a dropped line, there are ways to other people. It's a team. Everybody's working for the same end. When you're on stage by yourself, there's nobody to hand off to, and that in itself is part of the challenge, but it's also part of the allure. Being able to rely on your own mind to make things, to bring the piece to fruition and be able to cover up any thirbligs that happen. So it's kind of like a gauntlet being hurled, any one-man show. First of all, learning the words. You're on stage for over an hour and a half. and realizing the script and getting it right. That's the challenge, and that's the fun.
You've done a lot of interesting things that I don't really know anything about at all. There was a time when you were the voice of the Charlotte Hornets, weren't you?
Yes, I
Tell us
got
about
in
how
there
that came to be.
the third season. I was working for WBT Radio and was a fan. I had season tickets, was in the stands for every home game. The gentleman that was doing the PA the first year got sick and had to drop out. The next year and a half was handled by Steve Martin, who was the sports director at WBT, and then later went on to become the play-by-play voice of the Hornets. Matter of fact, when he moved into that, that's when they were looking for a new PA guy. And so I told Steve, hello, I'm going to be in the building anyway. I'd be happy to, fill in anytime anybody's sick or something like that. So starting with the third season, I got to sit in the center chair and was with them and with the Sting, the WNBA Sting, for 12 years. And again, something I wouldn't trade for love nor money. Fascinating gig.
I can imagine that would have been a great deal of fun. And free tickets to the game, that's kind of a bonus too, huh?
Well, that wasn't really free. I got paid to do it too. So,
Yeah, exactly.
ooh,
You don't pay them, they pay you. An ideal job. Well, you do have another job that I find rather fascinating. Now, I don't know if you've done it every year, but I do believe that you have done Charlotte Squawks on occasion.
I wrote two songs for the very first Charlotte Squawks, and I never did anything else with it.
Oh,
You may be thinking of another Charlotte broadcaster, Mike Collins, who has been a part of Squawks since day one, and is still the master of ceremonies and an actor and singer, dancer, pantomimist, accordion player. He does it all too.
well, he's a very talented man. Perhaps I should interview him sometime.
Oh, absolutely.
He would be great. He's interviewed me, and that was fun. Well, I guess I just have a good memory. I remember that you had some involvement at some point with it. Um,
Now, if you want to toss in another employment angle, for 22 years, I was the master of ceremonies for 4 different Highland Games
oh
in the
yes, the Highland
Southeast.
Games.
I did Grandfather Mountain for 17 years. I did Loch Norman Games, which are up in Huntersville. Did those for 20 years. What else did I do? Did the Greenville Games down in South Carolina for 3 or 4 years. Also the Charleston Highland Games for a couple of years. So another thing that was fun.
That sounds like it would be fun.
It works with the heritage as well.
We don't have a lot more time left, but I would like to ask a couple of questions. Is there a role that you wanted desperately that you didn't get, or a dream role that you're still hoping to play?
One role that I would love to play but would never be able to play, Harold Hill in Music Man. I'm now too old, and earlier was more of a character actor than a leading man type role. I'm always up for Tevye. I've done The Milkman 4 times and would always love to do them again. Gosh, what else? One role I did get to do a few years back, I got to do Henry in Lion and Winter.
Oh,
And there are a number of bucket list shows I'd like to do. There's others that I've stumbled on. Did Nat in, oh gosh, now I can't remember the name of the show. You get old, these things pop away from you, you know. I'm Not Rappaport, that's what it was.
ah.
Did that at Theater Charlotte.
Was that with Willie Stratford?
No, Tom, what's Tom's last name?
Tom
Morrison? I tried to get Willie to do it. Willie said, nah.
Willie.
I bet I could get him to do it again, though.
Once. I know who you're talking about, Tom McKinney.
McKinney, there you go.
McKinney, yes. We've seen that. Well, are you doing any Zoom theater these days?
Zoom theater?
Yeah.
I barely got this interview up and running. I can't do theater on it.
Well, that would be me too. The funny thing is that I am doing anything technical. It is so foreign to me, it's ridiculous.
Well, you've got a good support group there.
I do. My technical director. Well, I guess we're going to have to say goodbye because the Zoom people are going to cut us off in a very short time. I appreciate this so much. I know the audience did too, and I'll be hearing about it in the comments. So.
Absolutely, and I look forward to getting back into the storefront theater at some point.
Oh, you will be either on screen like this or back on stage, and I'm hoping on stage. Just who knows?
House to half, lights up.
Exactly. So thank you so much, everybody. James K. Flynn.
Thank you.